Two fighters stand out. Ilia Topuria, just 27, shocked the world by knocking out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, two of the sport's elite. Meanwhile, Alex Pereira defended his title 3 times in a single year, each by knockout, making him one of the most active champions in MMA. But there could only be one fighter of the year. There's a strong case for both of these guys, but I feel like we could break things down even more and we could come up with a conclusion at the end of this video, so make sure you guys stick around for that. But first, let's go ahead and start off with Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria knocking out both Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway in a single year is nothing short of historic for the featherweight division and the sport. Let's go ahead and break down why this achievement is so huge. First, Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway are legends in the featherweight division. Volkanovski was a top 3 pound-for-pound fighter in the world at one time. He's fought and beaten some of the best athletes in, the weight class. Meanwhile, Holloway is a former featherweight champion as well, and one of the most respected fighters in the roster. He holds the BMF title right now, proving his reputation as one of the sport's toughest competitors. So for Topuria to knock both of these guys in the same year speaks volumes about his skill, power, and overall dominance across the freaking division. Historically, this kind of feat is practically unheard of because Holloway has never been knocked out before, and he's famous for his insane durability and his relentless striking pace. Volkanovski has rarely ever been hurt in the featherweight division, so Ilia Topuria took both of these guys out in the same year with decisive finishes, establishing himself not just as a really good fighter, but as the division's new king. These wins are career-defining moments that launched Topuria into a new level of stardom. It's likely to lead to more high-stake fights and even opportunities to cross over for super fights down the line. This year will be remembered as a turning point in Topuria's career, a year where he stepped up and took out 2 of the sport's most established fighters. He's probably going to go down as one of the greatest featherweights we've ever seen if he's able to do more stuff like he did this year. Ilia Topuria, obviously really good fighter, had a really good year. Now let's go ahead and break down Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira's 2024 reign as light heavyweight champion has been nothing short of historic, as he's defended his title with 3 consecutive knockouts over some of the toughest contenders in the division. At UFC 300, Pereira defended his title against former champion Jamal Hill, a fighter known for his versatility. Pereira's knockout victory over Hill didn't just confirm his position at the top of the division, it showed his striking position and power were completely unmatched compared to everybody in the division, and that he was ready to take on all comers. Then came UFC 303, where Pereira faced Jiri Prochazka for the second time, but in short notice. Having already defeated him once before, Prochazka, known for his chaotic style and ability to push through any fight, was one of the toughest former champions in the division. But Pereira knocked him out again, proving that his initial win was no fluke and furthering solidifying his place as the undisputed champion. Finally, at UFC 307, Pereira defended his title against Khalil Rountree, a dangerous striker in his right. Pereira's knockout of Rountree capped off a remarkable year, showing that his striking and power make him a force of nature in the light heavyweight division. With these 3 title defenses, Pereira's 2024 campaign has solidified his status as one of the most dominant champions in light heavyweight history, establishing him as a true knockout artist and a future legend of the sport. It's all great. Both of these guys have really strong arguments on why they should be fighter of the year, but in my opinion, for us to really determine who actually deserves it, we have to look at the quality of their wins, and that's exactly what we're going to be covering in this next segment of the video. If you guys are finding this video entertaining, all that I ask is you guys to leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel. It would definitely help me out and I would greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get back to the video. Both Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway represent the pinnacle of the featherweight division over the past several years, dominating the rankings and shaping the title picture. For Topuria not just to defeat these guys but finish them shows that he's capable of beating the division's toughest and most experienced competition. Holloway and Volkanovski have been the benchmark for featherweight greatness, so Topuria's consecutive wins over both fighters indicate a shift in the division's landscape. However, there are some important context points to consider. Volkanovski returned to competition not long after a knockout loss to Islam Makhachev, and some might argue that he wasn't fully recovered or at his peak. Similarly, the best version of Max Holloway is arguably at lightweight, as seen as his win over a battle-tested Justin Gaethje. Against Topuria, we saw a version of Holloway that could have been impacted by the weight cut, a dehydrated, possibly even depleted Holloway. These factors add nuance to Topuria's victories, but they don't diminish the overall quality of his wins. His ability to finish top-tier fighters solidify him as a dominant force in the division. For Alex Pereira, though, his 2024 campaign has been nothing short of remarkable, positioning himself as arguably the face of the UFC right now. As the light heavyweight champion, he has taken out some of the division's most dangerous fighters by knockout. His wins over Jamal Hill, Jiri Prochazka, and Khalil Roundtree demonstrate his exceptional skills and assert his place among the sport's elite. However, it's important to know that the light heavyweight division currently faces a bottleneck problem and has relatively shallow talent pool, in my opinion. With only 34 active fighters and half of them being ranked, this raises questions about the overall elite status of the opponents Pereira has faced. While he is winning in style, some argue that he's competing against fighters who may not be at the highest level. Additionally, there are contextual factors to consider as well. Jamal Hill was returning from a long layoff due to injury, potentially impacting his timing and conditioning. Jiri Prochazka, while incredibly skilled and resilient, had already faced Pereira once, which may have affected his confidence going into the rematch. And Khalil Roundtree, despite his powerful striking, was stepping up against a more seasoned and technically advanced Alex Pereira. While some of these factors provide additional context, we have to admit that it's still pretty impressive for the light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira to knock out his opponents the way that he is doing. Now it's time for us to pretty much give our take on the fighter of the year, and in my honest opinion, I feel like that should go to Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria beat two of the best featherweights of all time, and I feel like just for that reason he deserves to be fighter of the year. Of course, we know that most likely the UFC is going to end up giving it to Alex Pereira because he did save UFC 303, and yeah, he's knocking out all of his opponents, but in my honest opinion, I could honestly say that Ilia Topuria's wins are much more impressive because of the quality fighter that he is beating. Not just beating, but knocking out. So with that being said, I think Ilia Topuria deserves to be the fighter of the year. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys found it entertaining, make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing. As always, it's a pleasure. Peace out and have a good one.